Hello, it's Ivy here at KCCAR Junior Libraries. I work for a program called Library Has Legs, where I go out and visit lots of children and families in the Cranbourne community. Maybe I've met you before. Today I'm here to share a story with you called Bertrand the Bored and the Imagination Jar. This story was produced by the Australian Childhood Foundation, who have kindly given us permission to share it with you, and it was illustrated by Jess Ratcliffe. But before we begin, we need to do something very important together. We need to acknowledge the traditional owners. It's called an acknowledgement of country. So I would like you to try and do it with me. So we need to, first, we're going to wave our hands over the ground, or if you're sitting on the ground, you can put your hands on the floor and feel the land under you. And then we're going to raise our hands up to the sky. Then we're going to open our arms out to each other to acknowledge our friends and community. And then we're going to bring them back to ourselves. So let's see if we can manage this together. So here is the land. Here is the sky. Here are my friends, and here am I. We learn, play, and share stories on the lands of the Kulin Nation. Okay, let's begin. Our story today is brought to us by the Australian Childhood Foundation, who produced this story specifically for the coronavirus outbreak and all of you kids at home. This one is called Bertrand the Bored and the Imagination Jar, and it's illustrated by Jess Ratcliffe. Bertrand the friendly boredom monster sleeps in the walls at Charlie's house. If you were to put your ear up against a wall at her house, you might be able to hear him snoring. He drags his feet around and lounges on her family's couches all the time. He's an absolute slob. He sheds his invisible boredom all around the house, and he doesn't seem to care who steps in it. This was becoming a problem lately because the coronavirus had Charlie's whole family at home all the time, and Charlie and her brother were practically rolling around in his boredom every day. Bertrand's boredom was beginning to weigh Charlie down. It was making time go slow, and all the days were beginning to feel the same. Same house, same people, same. Sometimes she even forgot what day it was. Have you ever felt like boredom is sneaking into your place? Well, keep reading, because Charlie and her dad have come up with some ideas for dealing with overflowing boredom. Charlie has discovered some ways to shake off Bertrand's boredom. She accidentally worked out that when she leaves the house, it rubs off on the grass. So going for walks, playing kick to kick, bike riding and runs all work a treat. The only trouble is it's hard to be out all the time. So Charlie has had to work something out for inside of the house. This morning, Charlie told her dad she was bored again. They sat down together for a chat about it. Charlie's dad told her he was going to let her in on a secret about boredom. Her dad looked around like he was checking that no one else was listening. In a hushed voice, he said, "Boredom and imagination can't live in the same space together. In fact," he continued, "if imagination comes across boredom, imagination wins, hands down, every time. Imagination is a lot more powerful." Charlie leaned back in her chair. This was news to her. Charlie's dad told her that the tricky thing about imagination was that it was sometimes very quiet. Sometimes you needed to listen hard for its whispers to give you ideas. However, once you hear it. It just gets louder and louder until you can't help let it take you on adventures. Charlie looked thoughtful. She had experienced that before. There was a recent Lego construction that stood out, and then there was the great blanket cubby that she'd built with her brother last weekend. Charlie asked her dad where imagination came from. Her dad told her that it lives inside all of us. He said we all have sprinkles of it, and children seem to have the most out of everyone. That evening, when the family sat down to eat dinner together, Charlie's dad brought out 3 clean, used pasta jars and a bunch of pieces of paper and pens. He placed one jar in front of Charlie, gave another one to her brother, and sat the final one with family written on top in the middle of the table. Charlie's dad said the jars were imagination jars, ready to be filled with imaginative ideas. He said if they all tuned in to their imaginations, they could fill the jars with interesting things to do at home. So they did. They all shared ideas, wrote them down on the little bits of paper, and put them in the jars. Charlie's dad said they could try one idea from the family jar every day, and as many as they liked from their individual jars at any time. The jars turned out to be good. Now when Charlie feels Bertrand's boredom building up around her ankles, she just turns to her imagination jar or listens in for her own little whispers of imagination to help her blast away Bertrand's boredom. With all that imagination around, Bertrand has started picking up his game. He actually had a shower this morning and brushed his fur. Charlie is off to build an indoor golf course now. What about you? Thank you so much for listening to the story with me today. I just wanted to show you that I made an imagination jar. You might like to make one too. In the story online, there's lots of advice about how to use your imagination jar as well, so you might like to have a look at the online version. In my imagination jar, I've got lots of ideas of things that I enjoy and that my kids enjoy, and I've even got some little pom-poms in here to decorate, but you could decorate it however you like. You could decorate the outside, you could make a big sign that says imagination jar, you could use a different color or a different shape jar, you could paint it, you could do all kinds of things. So have a think about what kind of imagination jar you would like to have. So thank you so much for joining us today, and if you would like to watch more videos, you can get on our website. It's www.cclc.vic.gov.au and just click on the Library at Home link, or you can just search for us on YouTube. The other thing is, straight after I finish talking to you, if you watch a little bit longer, there will be some information that comes up that tells you how to visit the Australian Childhood Foundation who've made this book, and you'll be able to find a copy of it for yourself. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.